Hello, I'm James of Tartan Paint Games. In this presentation, I'm going to talk about how our team put together a 10-minute game demo in under 3 weeks. But first, let's meet the team. We have our producer Morgan, Lewis in charge of level design, technical artists and animators Daniel and Nathaniel, Brett, our character and environment artist, Ryan, our concept and environment artist. In charge of programming, we have Gianluca, and finally myself, who handled UI and audio. Now, let's talk about Aki, the game we put together. You play as Aki, a dog who was once lost in the woods and now guides lost souls to rest in the spirit world. You are sent to the land of the living once more to help guide a soul who is lost in the woods, much like you once were. In this short 10-minute demo, you travel with the soul you were sent to find, along the way discovering objects that trigger memories of your past life. A life before you were Aki, the good boy who helps the lost find peace. At the start of the project, Ryan created concept designs and pre-production art for the desired assets, allowing Brett and the rest of the art team to model them and implement them in the game. The design for Aki was completed first, in order to allow the team to go through the complex process of modelling, texturing, rigging and animating the main character. Once concepting was done, Brett started creating the model for Aki, the protagonist. He worked closely with the animators to make sure they had the edge loops needed for good deformations. After that, he and Ryan moved on to environment assets, including multiple structures as well as multiple types of trees and plants, all based on the original concept art. To aid in the game's performance, Brett used alpha cards to keep the poly count of the environment assets low, saving around 66 million polys in the final scene. Daniel and Nathaniel worked as both animators and technical artists. They assisted with the creation of practical elements of the 3D character, making sure it had all the necessary edge loops and adding features such as eye cups and eyes with correct topology. While Daniel rigged and created controls for Aki, Nathaniel weight painted and created the skeleton, thus halving the work. After this, they both made 2 to 3 animations, each bringing the protagonist to life. They also assisted in making the long list of 3D environment assets needed for a dense forest. The level design is a big part of Aki in order to fully immerse the player in the world. Lewis designed the final scene in a way that makes the player feel like they're in a vast open world, but also keeps them on a path in order to see everything they're meant to see. As there are 3 cutscenes in the game, enough space had to be left between each in order to let the player take in all the visuals and sounds the game has to offer. The triggers for the cutscenes also had to be carefully visible so they aren't missed. This was done by making them bright and putting them in a clear view from the path the player will take. Once Lewis had made the basics of the level, I couldn't wait to get started on the audio. There are 3 types of audio implemented in the game. First is the environment loops that are used to make the level feel alive. Each is made of several clips like white noise for wind and field recordings of bird song to create rich soundscapes. Different areas of the map use different loops, and spatial audio changes the background noise as the player discovers new areas. The second type of audio implemented is the cutscene audio. The soundscapes for these relied on audio effects to create their dreamy feeling, mostly a lot of reverb and modulation. Finally, there is the voiceover that guides Aki on his journey.
Go through the Torai gate to the world of the living.
I designed the Aki UI to be usable and minimalistic as to not distract from the beautiful artwork of the team's talented artists. A single column was used for the pause screen, with single line spacers used to break elements into groups, which aided the design's readability and flow. A similar design was used for the main menu screen. Gianluca worked as the team's programmer, implementing features such as character movement, joypad support, camera controls, AI, the cutscene system, interactions, animation, and other technical aspects such as occlusion culling to improve performance. He worked closely with the designers to ensure the features were most optimal as requested. Movement animations use locomotion. This blends and syncs the animation speed with the character speed. AI is applied to the puppy the player finds in the last part of the level. It contains triggers and pathfinding, and avoids water since the puppy can't swim, and other obstacles. To keep organised, our producer Morgan managed the project using a variety of project management tools. The main tool being used to track progress was Trello. We opted to use agile methodologies to help during the game jam style development process, as it allowed for fast prototyping and a quick turnaround of a playable game. Scrum meetings were arranged through Discord on Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Fridays to allow the team to communicate and plan for the day's work ahead. All communication between the team was done through Discord with specific channels set up for each discipline. This allowed us to stay constantly connected while working from home, mitigating any issues that would arise. At the end of the development period, we decided to enter Aki into the Play Away Fest Play Party, where we in fact won the Tinderbox Collective Community Award. This generated quite a bit of interest around our game's demo. But for now, Tartan Paint Games is looking forward to our next project that we can complete as a team.